So, good morning to you all. So, I think the principles of product design is very important topic. I suppose that this is the most important module in this semester because all the research activities and your future activities, uh, the product design is very important and critical. So, what is product designing, and there are so many products to be developed. Might be a service or a product or even a food product. There are several people, they are developing machines and products. So you all are doing new research and projects for your workshops and other research activities, and the end of the uh, your degree course you will have to complete your research component. So for that also, product designing is very important. So this is going to be a very practical course module. So I request you all to go through this module carefully. So these are the learning outcomes at the end of the day. So you all have to analyze the markets and materials and identify requirements for designs, and how to satisfy the customer is very important through your designs and troubleshooting. So there are so many research activities are going on, and in Sri Lanka also nowadays we are facing very difficult situation due to lack of technology. So we have technology, but commercialization and marketing, all these things are not good. So therefore, our exports are not enough, and we have research around 10,000 research per year. But what happened to those research activities? So in this course module, we are going to discuss how to complete all the steps, right? So we have research, then how to commercialize these things. We can develop new product. So your seniors, our FPT students have developed so many products, so many new food products and machines. But it is very difficult to commercialize these things. So there is a gap in between innovation and commercialization. So prototype product should be developed and troubleshooting is important. So all these things are we will discuss within this course module. As I told you earlier, these are the content I am going to discuss with you. Introduction, traditional and modern product development methods, need identification methods, functions of product designing and procedures, statistical designs, prototype designs, and failure analysis. So in this course module, we will be discussing some statistical parts, product designing methods, standard methods. So you have to understand all these things, and I'm not going to explain all the theory parts here, so you can read and understand. And you have some assignments also in your LMS and continuous assessments and all these things. And references, you can read these books, but unfortunately you are at home now. So if you are interested, I can share scan copies and some research papers with you to read. If not, when you come to the university, you can read these things. The books, some books are available in the library, and some books are available online. Okay, so if you have any question, please raise your hand and ask. So, and I think you are familiar with my papers and questions. So, how to write answers, all these things are you are familiar with now. So, in this course module also, you have to think and write, right? You have to think and write. Okay, you know what is a product? We all have, we are being used products, even your laptop, your mobile phone, and there are so many products around us. So, and services are also there. So it means a product is a good service or idea consisting of a bundle of tangible and intangible attributes. So there are some tangibles and intangibles that satisfies consumers and it receives in exchange for money. or some other unit of value. So nowadays we are being discussed in the country also exchanging, right? Since don't have dollars, enough dollars, foreign deposits. So now we are discussing to exchange. It means we are going to export our food products or some might be tea. Then we are going to import fuel from other countries. So that is exchanging. So product means it might be a product or service, and tangibles and intangibles are also there, right? And finally, it will earn money, or there is a economical value, right? So new product development, right? New product development. So the three words are very familiar. You all can understand what is new, what is product, and what is development, right? New product development means actually the companies, when it comes to food processing, so you can see every day from your television and radio advertisement and web advertisements, there are so many new products. They are being used some marketing strategies to market their products, right? So what is the ultimate, what would be the ultimate target? To earn profit. So at the end of the day, they are going to earn profit. Advertisements about new products. As an example, the Munchie, CBL, they are doing so many innovations. Products not. The new product development contributes to growth of the companies, its influence on profit performance, and new products are responsible for employee economic growth, technological progress, and high standards of living, right? High standards of living for new products. So those days you don't have much technology, so the living standards are totally different. But nowadays we have mobile phones and everything, so we can order foods through our mobile phone, and we can control so many activities using our mobile and even our laptop. So new products are there, and new services are also there, right? So you can read these things. Actually, the new product development, the strategies are different, right? It is unique to company and the regions and countries. It is actually a unique procedure. So in your home, it's very common example for the occasions. In your home occasions, you are going to prepare some foods. It is also based on your preferences. Your mother or your family members, they decide what would be the meal. Your neighbors, they are going to develop different products, but the objectives are same. So we are going to celebrate the occasion, right? But the methods we use, things we use, technologies we use are totally different. And this is again very important. But these days we can see so many people, they are going to start new businesses. They have ideas. So how to export, how to use renewable energies, like things. So many ideas are there. But when we consider the output, so we have so many ideas, but when we count or when we can observe their outputs, so then you can see when we have 1,000 ideas, there might be around 1 or 2 products. So there are so many opportunities, ideas, but there are some bottlenecks. So product concept development, you can see the area, and concept testing, you can see. Then design and engineering, prototype development, you can see around 4. There are so many ideas and opportunities, but when it comes to a prototype development, only 4 ideas. Then we are going to test whether it is okay or not. After prototyping and troubleshooting, then actually there might be around 1 or 2 products. So sometimes there are no products, right? So we are going to discuss this process in detail, how to screening, how to take ideas, how to analyze those things. We are going to discuss these things one by one. Product life cycle, I think you can understand this one. So when we introduce a product to the market, then there is a growth phase, right? Introduction phase and growth phase. As an example, you can remember the COVID vaccination, right? There was a very good demand for that product those days. Introduction phase, you can remember countries and all the countries, they were requesting the product. And there was a growth phase. The price was high, competition, there is no competition, only there are 4 companies, 3-4 companies in the world. So they were earning so many profits. So the price of the manufacturing cost is very low, but they market it for a very high value. So that means the technology. So we also have to demand and sell our technologies, not the products. So product means, we are exporting some products. Sometimes you can dry 1 kilogram of jackfruit and export to a country. So it means sometimes 1,000 rupees. So if you introduce a machine to dry, domestic machine to dry dehydrate jackfruit, so it will earn much profit, and technology is there. So you add your knowledge plus manufacturing cost. So that should happen in the country, like developing countries. We have to market our technologies and we have to demand our technology. So this is the example, very good example. Product life cycle. So introduction phase, you can see the growth, it's increasing growth. And then what happened? And maturity phase, now it's lagging phase. So maturity phase also over, right? Then the sales revenue is decreasing and it will be constant, right? After some period, right, you can see its behavior. So before development, before initiating your new product and concept, you have to understand this product life cycle carefully, right? The innovation, and innovation is very high risk one, right? Product risky. So it means, as an example, for your exams, right? For your exams, you have practiced to answer. In your A levels, you have school and tuition classes, so they all will advise you. They will all advise you to write for a question and write something, whether it is correct or not, write something, right? But when you enter the university and in your first year, the exam papers are different, all these things are different. So you have to little bit innovative to get more marks, right? For my papers, the first 8 questions, the answer is around 5 sentences. So the innovation is there. So how to write, how to answer for these essay questions. So it is actually risky. So sometimes you may fail, or you will have so many marks. So but the risk is there. Give another example. Suppose one company is going to launch a new product, new ice cream, right? So risk is there, right? So there was so many people, they have started their business before 3 years ago, and even for some the Pick Me and Uber, like transport facilitators, they have purchased vehicles and started their business. Then what happened? For last 3 years, we have COVID period and the attack. So as a result of that, all businesses are now, they are in the lagging period. So innovation is actually a risky one. So before go to innovation, before investing, it is very important to analyze it one by one. The procedure should be analyzed. So I'm going to explain you how to do these things, right? And You know, the companies in Sri Lankan companies, they are actually not investing money for innovations, not enough money. They are in some companies they are doing innovations, but in the Sri Lankan market, you know, as sometimes we can consider, used to consume jack, you know, jack curry and fried, and there are so many products. But when we introduce dehydrated jack into the market, so can you uh, analyze the market? And on the other hand, we have mangoes in Sri Lanka. It is actually seasonal one. For these days, you know, everywhere we have mangoes. But after 2 3 months, then what happened? We don't have enough mangoes in the market. So 1 kilo is around will be around 600 rupees. So then we can introduce dehydrated mangoes into the market. So, but there is a risk. You know, the Sri Lankan people, they are not going to consume dehydrated food much because they always uh, believe that the nutrition value and it contains some chemicals in processed foods. So there are some misunderstandings. So before come to the market, before initiate your product development, all these factors should be considered scientifically, right? There are some details, so you can read. And three factors, marketing, technical, and financial factors should be considered carefully. So you know what are the marketing factors? Consumer acceptable, like the requirement, whether there is a requirement or not, right? But in nowadays, you can see this is actually a everywhere we can see durian and rambutan, right? The close to road you can see everywhere we can see these things. So if we are going to introduce a same shop, you know, the that is not good. So if we can introduce a different one, then you will have good market, right? So marketing factors should be considered, right? And technical factors, that is belongs to our students. So you have, you know, the technical, you have the technical knowledge and experience, and raw materials availability. So if we are going to introduce a product, but nowadays, you know, the some of what happened to the three portion, it's a very famous one, but the factory is already closed. What is the reason behind that? Lack of raw material available, lack of raw materials. But in Sri Lanka, you know, the raw materials are growing. We can grow these raw materials, but unfortunately, they used to import those raw materials. Right? Then what happened to with this financial crisis? We don't have money to import these raw materials. Then we have to close the factory. So the technical factors are very important before initiating new products, right? And shelf life. So these are the you can read and understand. And financial factors also important. It is the most important one. So how to invest money and cost analysis. All these things are very, very, very important, right? But here you can see here you can see reasons for failures. So, you know, there are so many failures we have discussed. What are the reasons? Badly outlined is wrong. Overestimation of market size, right? Overestimate, right? You know, some seasons in Sri Lanka, the ice cream and soft drink demand is very high for drought seasons. But based on these figures, if some company develop their product and increase their process line, then what happened? So you know the Sri Lankan climate, but nowadays rainy season is there, so demand for ice creams and soft drinks, cool drinks are little bit low. So therefore, overestimation is very risky one. product design problems are there. So you know how to develop products. So as an example, in your home, you are going to develop a curry. Might be a dal curry. So there are different raw materials we are being used to develop the dal curry, and the recipe is not there, right? Standard method is not there. You are just taking dal and put water and milk and spices and put on the burner. Then you know the procedure, but it is actually dependent based on your practice and time and the raw materials. All these things, the factors are dependent factors. So how to develop a standard food standard designs, product design. So we will be discussed. Product incorrectly positions price to advertise, poor marketing, research findings, or incorrect results. Sometimes we are using incorrect results, right? What happened to Sri Lanka? They also used incorrect results, financial results, central bank results. They have changed the results. Then all the decisions have been taken based on that incorrect results. Then what happened? You can observe the real situation due to all this. Actually, in the last, I have started this lecture before 5 years ago. So, but nowadays we have so many examples in the country. You have so many examples, then you can easily understand these lectures and things I'm discussing with you. Anyway, so scope changes along the product. Scope changes along the product. That is also same to the thing happening in our country. We don't have a system, right? So scope should be there. When we are going to initiate a new product, we have a scope. So the ultimate product would be this one. These are the specifications. This is the price. And all these factors have been finalized and going to start the product. If not, what happened? So you just start the product. Then the flavor is not good. You are going to add another raw material. And then what happened? After 1 month, the shelf life is not good. Then you are going to add another raw material, ingredient. Then at the end of the day, what happened to the price? We estimated, as an example, 100 rupees. Now the production cost is around 120 rupees. Then what happened? We have calculated all the financial factors and the proposals. All these things have been developed and might be proposed to the bank to get loans. Then all these things will be a mesh. So scope should be very important. It should not change along the project. Project cost increase, long time. Then some other competitors also started within this long time. So all these factors are very important. You can you can understand these factors with some products available in Sri Lanka. Can you remember a product called Kick Cola? Kick Cola product. Can you remember? කතා කරන්න ඕනේ නැත්නම් මට කරන්න බෑ මේක ගන්න Dulanjali Pereira. So give me an example for a failed product, food product. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක food product එකක් කියන්න fail වෙච්ච ළඟදී. Dulanjali, are you there? Dulanjali, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So give me an example for a failed product, food product. So mama ekak kiwa, then you have to give another one. Asla, can you remember? So can you remember white chocolate puff? which has been developed by CBL. So, and some ice creams. Can you remember some sort of ice creams? They have introduced, but not available in the market, right? So there are there are so many examples, right? Then you can get these examples and discuss what are the reasons behind that failures, right? So there are some factors, unique and superior quality product should be there, and well-defined product concept. We will be discussing these things. What is the concept and scope? Before initiating, we have to define the concept, right? In the product development process, there are three major segments: concept development, prototyping, and final product. As we have discussed, the prototypes are very important, right? ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් කසාද බඳින්න ගියත් එහෙමනේ නේද? ප්‍රොටෝටයිප් එකක් කරන්නද එක සැරේටම කසාද බඳින්න ගියාම පස්සේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? It means prototype කියන එක වැරදිට තේරුම් ගන්න එපා. හරි? Prototype means before going to the final product, we are going to develop this concept for small scale and analyze their failures, right? We have concept, then we have so many ideas, then how to extract the best one, then concept development, then by using your technical knowledge and all the environmental factors, after analyzing all these things, finally going to develop prototype products or services, then analyze its failures and add new things, remove bad things and improve the good things, then you can get the final product, right? Okay. Okay, now we are going to discuss the things, key functions. Actually, there are actually there are six functions, six factors in the traditional method, right? Genesis, primary evaluation, early development, advanced development, introduction to the market, and in-market evaluation. There are 6 steps, right? We call it as traditional method. But if there are 6 steps, so you know we have to take much time, right? First, we are going to get the ideas and analyze these ideas and screen these things. Screening means how to get the best idea among all these ideas. Then market analysis should be conducted, right? In your research activities, final year research also, these things are very important, right? When your seniors again, when they are in the final year, they again ask, can you share the slides with us? So now we are studying, now we are facing difficulties regarding the designing. So they are again going to learn in this course module. So that's why I asked you all to go through this one, yeah, right? Then market analysis. Market analysis means we have this type of ideas, then we are going to analyze whether this product is acceptable or not, and whether the market is seeking such product or not, right? Now, you know, there are so many biscuit varieties are available in the market. So I suppose that they are not seeking a new biscuit. It means a sweet one. So nowadays, you know, there are no very small amount of spicy biscuits, right? So you can introduce a new one. Then before that, you have idea to develop a spicy biscuit. And now spicy chocolate, you know, in Sri Lanka it is not available, spicy chocolate. So you can do a market analysis, right? How to do market analysis, I will explain. There are so many methods. Then early development, right? Prototype development, advanced development. It mean manufacturing engineering. So you know, when we designing aircraft and some very large scale machine, they are also using these functions, right? Advanced development, introduction to the market. Then, as we discuss prototypes, then do the alterations, and then manufacturing engineering means you know, the engineering measurements and all these factors are there. So a manufacturing process will be conducted. Then marketing. After marketing, in-market evaluation also there in the traditional method. When we introduce to the market, we have already conducted errors, already do the alterations, but still we are going to study in-market evaluations, right? So you can understand the importance of these 6 factors, right? So, but the new one, we have only 4 steps, modern one. What is the reason for that? Getting to market quickly, right? So those days we had the 6 one, now we have only 4. Genesis and evaluation, early development, introduction to the market, and in-market evaluation and advanced development. So you can understand the differences in between these 2 methods. What are the differences in between traditional method and modern method? So it will take less time than the traditional one, but there are some, you know, there are two steps are not there, right? And these are the some product development methods literature. If you are interested, you can read. So now we are moving to the first step, idea generation. We can do it based on the available data. It means in Sri Lanka, you know, the population is there. Then we can we can get the Department of Census and Statistics data, and there are some research data available. So we can collect the data, available data, but you know, its accuracy should be there, should be correct data. And brainstorming, you know, brainstorming. What is the ultimate objective of conducting brainstorming? To get ideas, concepts, right? And screening, what are the correct one? Then market analysis, whether there are competitive products, and if there are competitive products, you know, as an example, yogurts. So there are so many competitive products. So what are their characteristics? Even when we compare the Highland and Kotmale and Anchor, like there are might be 10 yogurt varieties. So then we can analyze their pH values and colors. Why this yogurt variety is moving very quickly? You know, we have as an example for Highland, you know, it has a very big demand. So what are the factors behind their success? So all these things should be in this idea generation. And failure analysis, if there are failures, so what are the responsible factors for their failures, right? Then screening. So as we already discussed, screening should be conducted to remove you know, the unnecessary data or impossible ideas, right? As an example, you can see there are so ideas. So out of might be 100 ideas, we are going to select one good idea, right? Screening. Then primary evaluation or preliminary evaluation. Why we are going to conduct preliminary evaluation? Providing information to reduce the risk and improve the odds of success, and facilitating the new product introduction process. So we have discussed there, it is actually risky one. primarily the product development is a high risk. So how to avoid that high risk, know how to reduce the risk, then we are conducting. So for that we are conducting primary evaluation, right? Primary evaluation can be conducted through market surveys and available research findings. There might be local data or foreign data. In Sri Lanka, we have central bank reports and some data in census and statistics and personal interviews. So it means knowledge with knowledgeable persons, expert in the field. So as an example, consider that you are going to develop a herbal product. So there are some indigenous doctors and herbs farmers. So you have to select those persons and interview. And market research and market analysis, you can conduct online market analysis. And by conducting the market analysis, so there are several factors to be considered. You know, we are being received 5 to 10 questionnaires per day, online surveys. When we go through these surveys, so you know there are so many wrong things, right? How to develop these things, all these things I will be discussing with you. So primary evaluation, we can do this. We can use these methods, right? However, reliability, novelty of data, expertise area, accuracy sampling is very important. So up-to-date data and novel data should be considered. You know, when we consider the data obtained before 10 years ago, the climate and the vision of the people, all these things are different. But nowadays, the young people, they consider, they want different things. So always you have to consider novel data. But those days, the people, you know, with the non-communicable diseases, those days people were they were interested in sugar taste products. But nowadays, you know, when the product contain high sugar and salt, nobody is going to purchase. So that's why we have to use novel data, right? All these factors are very important. Some typical areas in primary evaluation: does the potential product meet consumer need? So we have discussed. Does the potential product offer meaningful consumer benefits? Right? Is the potential product different from other products that consumer may use and meet a given need? What are the key product characteristics? So likewise, you can ask these questions before developing your questionnaire or market survey. These are some questions you can use as references, right? Sometimes the companies, they are using focus groups. For what? You know, there are infant food products, right? Infant food products. So we have to select the am I correct? For infant foods, we have to select infants or mothers, parents, right? So based on our product, so you know, yeah, if it is a perfume, so you are going to develop a new perfume using ingredients available in spices in Sri Lanka, right? New research. So sometimes it might be a gents one or ladies one. So based on that, your product scope, you have to select the focus group, right? So gents perfume ladies ideas, right? So based on your product, focus groups are different, right? Then planning a market research, how to plan. As we have discussed, target group should be identified. Select a proper sampling plan. We will be discussing sampling plan. Design an appropriate study material, questionnaires. Nowadays, we have to do online surveys due to these situations. Select the conducting methods, whether it is online or interviews or any other method. And data collection handling methods, it's confidentiality, right? Sometimes it's some very you are going to ask their salaries and their diseases, like the confidential things. So confidentiality should be there. Data analysis methods, summarizing and conducting comparative study, decision making. All these things we will be discussed in this series, right? So do you have any questions regarding the first one? Any questions? Right, so we are moving to the second part. It is about sampling. This is also very important. So actually we have discussed why product designing is important and what are the factors to be considered before starting and what are the critical things and how many steps are there in traditional methods and the modern method, why we have developed such modern method, and how to screen ideas, what are the objectives, what are the factors for failures. So you have to avoid these things. So we have discussed these things, and now we are moving to the second part. It's about sampling, right? Sampling is very important for market analysis and data analysis and selecting people or selecting getting samples in surveys or interviews or sometimes in analysis, right? So this is very important and very easy to understand. So within a few minutes I will explain. Suppose you don't have any questions regarding the first one, so we are moving to the next, this part, right? So sampling is very important. So when it comes to a survey, we have more than 2,000 students in our faculty, right? We have 2,000 students and we have different faculties and we have different departments. In our faculty, students are there, lecturers and academic staff is there, and non-academic people are there, and some security people, it means outside people are there. So how to get a sample, right? You are going to develop a new food product using orange. So you are going to develop a new orange drink, ready to serve one. So to conduct what do you call the market analysis, there are 2,000 people, different, representing different positions and departments and gender. All these things are different. So how to get a sample? So that is the question. In most of the research publications of your senior research students, they have this issue at the end of the thesis. So කොහොමද මේ sample එක ගත්ත කියලා අපි ලියන්න ඕන. හරිද? So that's why we are discussing the sampling method. This is very, very important in your life. Not only in this, not only answering this question paper, it is very useful in your future, right? So sampling means a process of identifying and obtaining a sample. So sample frame is there, right? There is a population, the population is there. Then we are going to take a sample. This is the sample frame. Make it a border frame, right? And there are two sampling methods, probabilistic sampling method and non-probabilistic sampling methods. You know the meaning of probability, right? Probability. So there are two methods, probabilistic sampling and non-probabilistic sampling. We call it as probabilistic sampling, we call it as random sampling. So basically we use random sampling methods for quantitative research activities. And now for the objective questions. You know what are the objective question is as an example? Yes or no questions, right? And we have determined the question answers. So we have determined the answers. Previously determined and asked somebody to select what is the correct one, right? And non-probabilistic sample, it is actually a qualitative we use basically for qualitative research activities and subjective questionnaires than objective, right? Here we are going to ask questions, right? These are the differences. Probabilistic sampling, we can get sample from everywhere by representing any sample, any. So you know the selecting probability. You know there are here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 35 samples for selecting one item from here. The probability is 1/35. But here you can see we have a systematic method, not probabilistic method, right? That is the main difference. So we are going to discuss probabilistic sampling methods. There are 5 probabilistic sampling methods we are going to discuss. Simple random sampling method, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, systematic sampling, and multi-stage sampling. So these are the 5 methods we are going to discuss. Probabilistic sampling methods we have already discussed. It is a random sampling methods, and each element has an equal chance to get selected, right? It means a non chance. So the first one, simple random sampling method, right? Every element has an equal chance to getting selected. Don't use prior information. So we are not going to use prior information, right? As an example here, you can see around 20 data. There are 3 colors. So selecting one sample, the probability is 1/60, right? The method දාසයක් තියෙන objects එකකින් එකක් තෝරා ගැනීමේ සම්භාවිතාව 100ට sorry 16න් එකක් වෙනවා, right? It is, we call it as simple random sampling. We have discussed you have discussed this thing in your grade 6, grade 5, 6 also we have discussed. We have learned these things. So I'm not going to explain it further. Then stratified sampling, this is very important. The importance is here is we use prior information. Like, right? We use prior information. It means the population is there, then we are going to divide it into different subgroups. We call it as stratas, right? What type of factors we are going to use it, right? Here you can see population is there, and based on the prior information, අපි ගාව දැනටමත් already තියෙන information මෙතන පාට 3ක් තියෙනවා. Based on the colors, we are going to divide it into 3 stratas and get samples representing each strata, right? Suppose you all understood, right? Population is there, then we use prior information and divide into stratas. And stratas, you can see they are similar. Unique factors are there, right? Blue color items are in the first strata. Here, red color, right? Equal, homogeneous, right? Sometimes it might be heterogeneous, right? No problem. But stratas are, then we are going to select random, get samples randomly, make a strata sample gun. Right? Understood? Then second one is cluster sampling. Here we are going to divide it into clusters. Give me a minute. 1 second, please. Okay, cluster sampling. Here we have different clusters, right? This example you can see. Then this a country, might be a country. Then we are going to randomly select some cities, towns or countries from this population, and randomly select schools within the cities, and finally students. So එතන සමහරවිට අපිට සර්වේ එකක් කරන්න ආවොත් ලෝකෙ ඉන්න අපේ ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ස්කෝලේ ළමයිත් එක්ක. So how to do these things? So we can apply cluster sampling method, right? Cluster sampling method. It means it is impossible to use all the students from schools. Then what we have to do is consider the provinces or districts or divisions, then randomly select school from each division, so representing each division, and then randomly select students, right? That is, we call it as random sampling methods. So then cluster sampling method. So right here there are two methods: single stage cluster and two stage cluster sampling. In cluster sampling, entire cluster is selected randomly. So there are different clusters. We are going to select the entire cluster, right? Clusters කියන්නේ පොකුරු අපි හිතනවා it might be clusters means students from different departments, right? They are there. Our 40 students are there. Then we are going to select BST students, one cluster, right? Then sometimes we can get two stage cluster sampling. We are going to select BST student and EGT students. So then randomly select the clusters and get samples from representing each clusters. For the single stage cluster, we are going to get samples from a one cluster. That is also randomly selected, right? Then two stage cluster, we have to select two clusters randomly, then get the samples again random, right? Then systematic clustering. Systematic means there is a system. So this is also very common one. මෙතනදී කරන්නේ අපි එක්කෙනෙක් තෝරගන්නවා randomly. So we are going to select the first element randomly, right? First element randomly. Then we can calculate the interval using this equation: population divided by sample. Population might be 100, sample size might be 10. Then you know the k is 10. So first select this element and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one. Then from this one, 1, 2, 3. Likewise, there are you can select sample systematically. But you are going to select the first sample randomly. අපි sports වලදී එහෙම මේ method එක ගොඩක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා, right? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට experience ඇති. So these are the this is the systematic sampling method. And when it comes to multi-stage sampling, right? Multi-stage sampling means then we can use one or more methods we have already discussed. One or more methods we have already discussed, right? Understood? එතකොට අපි අර කලින් පාවිච්චි කරපු එකෙන් එකක් හෝ දෙකක් එකතු කරලා පාවිච්චි කරන්න යන්න. This is the example. University of Sri Javadarpura, there are different faculties. All the faculties you can see: academic staff, non-academic staff, and students, right? Just for an example. Then you can divide it, the academic staff, into one cluster, and non-academic staff and students. Then again we can divide them as based on their gender, males and females. Then finally, we can get samples, right? Then can you propose the methods we have used? We used here. අතන පළවෙනිට අපි department වලට බෙදුවා. ඒක මොකද්ද? අපි මෙතන කතා කරපු වගේ simple random, the stratified, the cluster, the systematic, the multi-stage. Right? මෙතන අපි විතර multi-stage පාවිච්චි කරේ නැහැ. Systematic පාවිච්චි කරේ නැහැ. Actually the method is multi-stage. Systematic sampling is not there. Right? And let's move to the example again. Here there are departments. So what are the departments? Cluster or stratas? Give me an example. Clusters or stratas? උත්තර දෙන්න ඕනේ. අදුන් Madun Herat, give me an answer. What are the methods we have used here? Can you hear me, Nadun? Oh, අපි මොකද්ද මෙතන පාවිච්චි මොනවද මෙතන පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන sampling methods? අපි යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ departments වලට බෙදුවා. ඊට පස්සේ staff wise බෙදුවා. ඊට පස්සේ gender wise බෙදුවා. Give me an example. We have used several methods. Give me an example for one method. Oshadi, Madda good.
Cluster sampling.
Yes, we have used cluster. Malind. Malind, give me an example.
Stratified sampling.
Yes, you know the cluster and stratified. What are the differences in between these things? Cluster stratified, we use known things, neither previously known things. So likewise, then you know the University of Sri Yadavu, there are around 10,000, 15,000 people. So finally, we can take 9 or 10 samples. But the standard sampling methods have to be used. That is critical, right? Any questions regarding the probabilistic sampling? Then we are moving to the non-probabilistic sampling. Non-probabilistic means there is no probability. We are going to select using systematic methods, right? The probabilistic means we use randomization, but here we are not going to use randomization, right? Accuracies based on the researcher's ability on sampling might be biased, right? Bias කියන්නේ අපිට මේකේ හරියටම තෝරගන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන් because we are going to select 1 or 2 samples, right? 1 or 2 samples based on our knowledge. But in first one, probabilistic sampling, we are going to select just we are selecting, right? Randomly. Makes difficult for all the elements of population to be part of the sample. There are 4 sampling methods again: convenience sampling, purposive sampling, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. Quota sampling, you know how to select we are conducting a university selection. That is also based on quota sampling. And there are some methods. This is the convenience sample, right? Also called as availability sampling. Here you can see how it has conducted There are different people in this. Uh, there are different people in this population, and the researcher has selected uh, no blue figures in this sample, right? Based on the readiness and availability at a given time slot or any other practical specification. Extremely prompt, uncomplicated, economical, and also members are readily approachable to the part of the sample during the initial stage of the survey research, right? We use this in the initial stage, not for the entire research. Researchers usually prefer using convenient sampling as it is a quick and easy method. This is actually a quick method because here you can see the sample population, and we just think we are not going to select blue people. So there are no blue figures and take the sample. That is convenient sample. Actually, it is not a very good one. Second one is purposive sampling, right? We call it as judgmental sampling, right? Here what we are conducting is, then we are going to determine what is the relevant sample for us. එතකොට මේකෙදි කිව්වනේ දැන් මේ non probabilistic method එකේදී bias කියන දේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. biasing වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි හිතලා තමයි මේක කරන්නේ. right? Here එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න යනවා. Suppose you are going to develop a new food product, new drink, as we discussed, orange drink, right? Then as we have discussed, there are around 2,000 people in the faculty. Then you just select only BST food people purposely, right? You judge that this is the best group, right? You think that this is the best group for the sampling, and you just take the sample and do the survey. So that is actually we call it as purposive sampling, right? Select and quota sampling means, you can understand, depends of some pre-selected standards. Can you remember we have used this word in stratas? We know initially we know the thing, we know the factors we are going to study, we are going to use for the sampling. Here also in quota sampling, depend of the pre-selected standard, right? Select the representative sample from the population. So you can see population 50% male, 50% female population, 70% white and 30% black. This is the population. This is the quota. In the quota, you can see the same factors. 50% male, 50% female, 50% white, 50% black. But here you can see 70 white and 30 black. But here you can see 50 to 50. Representative of gender distribution in population, not representative of the race distribution. Here, in this quota sample, they have considered only the gender balance, gender distribution, but not considered the race, right? All members of the population do not have an equal chance. You know, all members do not have equal chance. In non-probabilistic methods, they don't have equal chance. Also, proportion of characteristics in the sample should be same as population. There are 50-50 so equal characteristics. Elements are selected until exact population of certain types of data is obtained or sufficient data is different categories collected, right? Here we use this type of methods in selecting quota sampling. You know what we are doing is in university student selection, then representation of population is there. Lanka district ජනගහනය අනුව තමයි අපි quota එක තීරණය කරන්නේ. You have that experience. That is quota sampling. The final one, last one, is snowball sampling. This is the snowball theory. Snowball theory කියන්නේ පොඩි snow එකක්. හිම කැටයක් එනකොට මග දිගේ මෙහෙම පහළට එනකොට ඒකට තව හිම එකතු වෙලා මේක ලොකු වෙලා the volume will be increased at the end. You can see the initial stage, then with more ice at the end of the day you can see a very big one. That is the snowball theory. Based on that snowball theory, these snowball sampling methods have been developed. Pyramid krame, you know, pyramid method. We just first we select two people or one people, then ask he or she to select or represent their or take their friends or their relatives. Then ask these people to select another one. Likewise, we use snowball theory. Select a research participant, recruit other participants for a test or study, ask initial member to introduce more participants. Snowball sampling is used in a situation where the population is completely unknown and rare. Suppose you are going to conduct a research in a foreign country. Food product develop Japan. Suppose you are in Japan to develop food products. Then you know nobody knows. You don't know the Japanese language. Then what you have to do is ask. Sometimes you have 2-3 friends. So take these friends and ask, introduce somebody for this research. Then you can ask that people to select another friends or people. So likewise, we can select different people for your research. We call it as snowball sampling. So that is the last one. There are so many methods. So I am going to discuss only these methods, right? And there are some standard methods I will be discuss with you in the next discussion. So finally, I hope you all understood the things that I have discussed with you. There are different sampling methods, right? What are sampling methods? Two major categories: probabilistic sampling and non-probabilistic sampling. So what is the main difference in between these two, probabilistic and non-probabilistic? In probabilistic sampling, we are going to select the sample randomly, and all the people, all the elements have an equal chance to getting selected. But in non-probabilistic sampling, we are going to select. We are not using random method. So some biasing effect. Sometimes there are some biasing. And probabilistic sampling we use for quantitative, and non-probabilistic we use qualitative, right? And we have discussed 4 methods for probabilistic sampling: simple, random, stratified, 5, cluster, systematic, and multi-stage. Multi-stage means a combination of 2 or 3 or 4 methods we have discussed, right? Then we have discussed this example also. And when it comes to non-probabilistic sampling, we have discussed 4 methods. Convenience sampling means it is actually a not very complex one. We use for initial stage research activities. And purposive sampling, quarter sampling, and snowball sampling. These are the things we have discussed today for the sampling methods. So now it's your time to ask questions. If you have questions, you can ask. Or actually, this is a very this is an introduction part. We have to discuss more statistical part later. And you better to go through the previous lectures I have uploaded. Actually, those are the last year lectures. So dates are different. But the things I have discussed are almost same. So you have to read and follow. You have to understand the things I have discussed in the other lectures, and we will have a discussion session. We will have discussion sessions, and I will discuss the paper, all these things later. So this is very interesting session module. You all have to understand carefully, since this is very important. So all I will share the video while MS. So if you have a question, now it's time.